Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Okay, so we said yesterday that Oklahoma City would build a lead.
We did.
We said that Indiana would come back.
We did.
And we said Oklahoma City would close them out.
We did.
Why bother watching? All right, so...
We're 3 for 3 right there.
Yeah. If Haliburton is not
healthy,
and they're not going to win games.
He didn't look healthy. He, of course, made no field goals, 0 for 6. He went 0 for 4 from 3. It just looked like he did not have his burst because his ankle is the problem. It looked like every time he drove, per fans courtside, you could see him wince. And if you're wincing as a basketball player who has to drive the basketball and handle the basketball as much as he does, that's not great. And the one player who it felt like carried the load for them last night and brought them back in this game was TJ McConnell. And Rick Carlisle has now gotten kind of a little bit of flack in media. People are understanding both sides, saying, well, Tyrese Haliburton is your star. He's gotten you here, even if he's injured. 80% Haliburton is better than 100% McConnell. But TJ McConnell had 18 points last night, was firing on all cylinders for them, had 2 steals, was playing lights out, and got them back into the game. And then all of a sudden, Haliburton comes back in. They can't get going.
Right.
And Jalen Williams has 40 points and wins the game.
Well, Jalen Williams, I mean, going into the series, I said that, look, this will be this year's Jaylen Brown. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's played that series about the way Jaylen Brown played in the finals last year against Dallas. As for Haliburton, he's not just a scorer. He's invaluable as a scorer, no question. But he's an excellent distributor. You can still distribute. Okay? And, you know, if you want to take a minute off in each quarter with him more, sure. But, you know, look, coaches know their personnel better than, I know it's shocking, you know, than the fans or Stephen A. Smith. It doesn't really matter. And the bottom line is that, yeah, McConnell came off the bench, but McConnell's come off the bench other times where in Game 3 he was terrific. In Game 4 he was non-existent. Mathurin was great in Game 3, non-existent in Game 4. So it's been a hit or miss with these guys. Just because McConnell had a good night last night on a night where Haliburton struggled, you know, that doesn't mean much to me because the game plays out over 2.5 hours. And there are reasons that you do certain things at certain times, and it wasn't like McConnell didn't play.
No.
He played.
He played really well. He had 22 minutes. He had 18 points. He went 1 for 2 from 3, 8 for 14 from the field.
22 minutes is almost half the game.
4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. And you mentioned Haliburton and his playmaking. The problem is for Haliburton, a lot of his playmaking revolves around when he can get downhill. He is as good as anybody is, if not the best in the league, as he averages like 14 some odd assists, it seems, at times during the season, at just distributing from getting downhill. When he has an 18-point, 14-assist game, that's when he's on fire. Because just a little bit of scoring is what it matters for him. But the problem was he could not get downhill. It's already tough when you have Lou Dort and Jalen Williams and the rest of the Thunder defense swarming you. And when he doesn't have the extra burst to get around them, it then takes away his ability to get to the spot to score. Like, he can't do what he did when he did a pull-up shot to win a few games ago. He can't do that. He can't even get to the point where he can get some separation. So he loses that part of his playmaking. That takes away a whole half of his game. And when his team isn't making their shots, 36% is good. They needed them to be better shooting the ball. At the same time, they were down 2 and threw the rest of the game away in the fourth. That they had just Pascal Siakam had 6 turnovers, Nembhard had 4. By the way, the Thunder had 27 stocks in this game, 15 steals and 12 blocks. Shea had 4.
Which is, I mean,
incredible.
I mean, defense has been the calling card for Oklahoma City all season anyway, forcing a lot of turnovers. It is the first time that Indiana has been behind in a series during this playoff run. It is the first time in this playoff run they've lost back-to-back games.
They have not lost back-to-back games since March.
It is also the first time that Oklahoma City has taken a lead in the series. So that's where they are, going to Indianapolis for Game 6. It was, it was a good game. I mean, it was a good game. I mean, the crowds there are great. And it is what it is. There's an intensity to it because they're two really good teams, but at the same time, the games don't have any star power.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want to hear about he's the MVP and the whole thing. I'm sorry, America doesn't know who he is. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm talking in general. You can keep mentioning all the time SGA MVP, SGA MVP. It's not resonating. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not resonating. It's what the NBA, I don't care what Adam Silver says, this is what they've feared for a long time. And part of it's their fault.
Yeah. They need to build back up stars like an Anthony Edwards, a Shai Alexander, a Tyrese Haliburton. They need to get these stars to where LeBron and Curry and KD are, because that's how you keep your league in the same realm.
But you have to help them. And I made this point last week. Part of your job as a league is to recognize what you have and accentuate it, okay? Oklahoma City, here's their marquee day. They brag over and over again. The NBA owns Christmas. Mm-hmm. Great. All right. That means last I checked, you did the scheduling. Mm-hmm. Where was Oklahoma City on Christmas Day? Sitting at home watching everybody else play. Nobody watched them play, right? You want to put them in a spot where, for example, you want to put LeBron on, but instead they had LeBron and Steph Curry head-to-head, which was an overreaction by the NBA to the NFL. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay? They should have had Oklahoma City play one of those two teams. Mm-hmm. They should have Oklahoma City play the Lakers with LeBron. That way you got LeBron, Lakers. Oh, wow, this Oklahoma City team's pretty good. Hey, the SGA is pretty good. Right? When you're not putting them on national TV, when you have a national TV package, how many times did you watch Oklahoma City during the course of the season?
Maybe once or twice.
Okay, they were barely on TNT. Mm-hmm. They weren't on that much. Mm-hmm. And yet, game after game after game, you're like going, wow, that's 50 ones. Oh, that's 60 ones. But nobody saw them. Cleveland did get a little more run.
But even so, they didn't get as much as they should have.
No, they didn't get as much as they should have. I mean, they had that memorable game in the Garden where they were down 24, rallied and won. Mm-hmm. That game was televised. But Cleveland got very little run. Oklahoma City got very little run. Minnesota got limited run. Mm-hmm. Right? Well, guess what? I mean, Indiana didn't get a lot of run.
Yeah. Right? The teams that got run, of course, the Knicks and Lakers were always going to get the run because those are the two of the marquee franchises, and the Celtics are there as well. So those three are always going to get the run on the Christmases of the world. That's 3 of 10 teams that are going to play on Christmas, as they had it this year. It was noon, 2:30, 5, 8, and 10:30. Right. So there's 3 of your 10 teams.
Well, you're going to have a problem this year because there are going to be 3 games on Christmas Day.
Yes.
There's going to be because this year Christmas is Thursday, and the Thursday Night Football package is in vogue. So you're going to have 2 games on Netflix and 1 on Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, you got a problem here, right? The NFL is seizing the day from you, and again, they don't help themselves. I mean, look, the showcase package is going to be Sunday night with NBC, because what NBC is going to do is they're going to go transition from Sunday Night Football into Sunday Night NBA basketball. That's the package you need to have teams on. Put them. I don't care if you put Cleveland against the Celtics. I don't care if you put Oklahoma City against the Knicks. Fine. It doesn't matter if you got what you perceive to be as a league as your draw on the other side, but you got to showcase other people. So when you get in this situation, go, I saw this team play a couple of times. They're really good. Well, that SGA is a heck of a player. It shouldn't be that you're discovering this in June, because at this point, you don't have people going, oh, Oklahoma City, I can't wait to watch them. No. You gave them no reason to watch them all year as a league.
And you know what pains me the most? I'm looking at the 10 teams that played on Christmas for them this past year. There was only one game I can remember, not just because I was a Knicks fan, but because Victor Wembanyama had 42. I believe Jalen Brunson had 50 in the Knicks-Spurs game at the start. And it was a whole back and forth, and that was a great thing. You're putting Victor out there. He's a guy you're trying to promote. Cool, great. Against the Knicks, makes sense. Go for it. The second game was the Wolves against the Mavericks. Okay. Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic at the time before he was traded. Okay.
Yeah, but again, who was in the finals?
Yes.
Last year
Mavericks.
it was the Mavericks.
Okay, cool. Then you get to the problem. The NBA does not think about the likelihood of things happening. And the likelihood of Joel Embiid being hurt was about 175%. And what do? They have the Sixers against the Celtics at 5. And we all thought it was going to be a bad idea because Embiid was going to be hurt, and then Paul George was hurt. And what happened? Injuries. And then at 8 o'clock, you're like, oh, it's going to be fine. Who was hurt? I believe LeBron and AD were both hurt. Lakers played the Warriors. But okay, you thought LeBron would be healthy. He's generally been healthy. Curry other side, fine. And then you have the Nuggets, sure, Jokic, West Coast, cool, against the Suns, who we all knew were going to be bad.
Because of Kevin Durant.
Because of Kevin Durant, but we all knew they were going to be
this
bad.
This is the insecurity of a league. You have to know your product. Well, we have to get Kevin Durant on TV.
And you know what you can do?
Over here in the back. No, you don't.
You know what you could do? Put them on Christmas Eve. Put them on the 24th. Say we're going to have some huge games on the 24th and even bigger on the 25th.
The 24th, no, people aren't watching on the 24th. That's why the Hawaii Bowl's on the 24th.
I know. But I'm like, you can't put, if you like Embiid, you're fairly confident if the 30% chance he's healthy, cool. Okay. 70% chance he's hurt. Don't put him on Christmas.
Let's start with this.
Okay.
The Sixers have not made it past the second round in 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nothing intriguing about the Philadelphia 76ers.
People just want to know if Embiid's hurt or not. That's pretty much it.
All right.
It's the only intrigue we need.
All right. That's it. We're done. All right. Did Indiana play on Christmas?
Nope.
No. So these two teams don't play on Christmas. They're in the finals. So we're all supposed to guess who everybody is. Now, you and I know because we watch it. We follow it.
If you had told me before the season who should play on Christmas, I would have said you need the best teams out there. So hypothetically, the Thunder were going to be a 1 or 2 seed. We didn't know they'd blow everyone out and go 68 wins, but we said they should play on Christmas. They're going to be one of the best teams.
Everybody knew after last year they were a really good team, and they're only going to get better because they're a year older.
We would have said the Cavs have to play on there because they're going to be a 1 or 2 or 3 seed in the East. Hypothetically, they should play on Christmas. Where are they?
Not
Gone.
there.
We would have said the Suns are going to be the 10 seed.
All they do in this league, they're so insecure as a league. And it's their insecurity.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to. Now, I understand LeBron and the Lakers being on. I've got that part.
Yeah.
Right? I understand Steph Curry and the Warriors.
Makes sense.
It's not as if they're bad teams.
Yeah.
They're actually good teams. Okay? At that point, Luka's with the Mavericks. They were in the finals last year.
Yeah.
Got it.
And you're trying to promote Anthony Edwards.
The Celtics are the defending champions. Got it. The Knicks, okay, got it. After that, okay, maybe Denver, okay, because they won 2 years ago.
And they have Jokic, so he's a star power enough.
But after that, the Sixers should not be on there. They don't give you anything. Okay? When's the last time the Philadelphia 76ers delivered a rating? Okay? They don't deliver a rating.
No.
Okay? They just don't. And they've got a star that's in, out. They announce in the preseason he's not playing consecutive games. Well, that right away, I'm up there in the offices at Olympic Tower going, okay, well, they're out.
If I am betting on a team to be healthy on Christmas, they should be nowhere near it. If I'm the NBA, let's say we take these 10 teams and we tiered them out. We said, okay, these teams make sense to play on Christmas. So we've got the Knicks, the Mavericks, the Celtics, the Lakers, the Warriors. Those 5.
Right.
Those 5 are givens.
Right.
Then you've got...
Okay, so now you get 5 opponents.
Then you've got, I'd say, the next chunk, you've got the Nuggets. Makes sense. Of course, they were in the finals a few years ago. Jokic was a big enough draw. Okay, cool. Then you have the Spurs. I think Wembanyama, they're trying to push him like crazy. Cool. Makes sense.
Yeah,
they put him in the early window.
Fine. I have no problem with him being
Yeah.
on because, okay, he's a star. The Spurs are not good.
No, but at least you're trying to promote Wembanyama in MSG. That I can kind of see trying to make a storyline out of it. And then you've got the Wolves, I think, on that same level where Anthony Edwards, star, trying to push that. Okay, cool. Sure. But then, yeah, the Sixers should be nowhere near this. The Suns should have been nowhere near this. I can tell you right now, going into next season, who should and should not be on Christmas. I can ballpark that for you today. And I'm guessing they're trying to finalize schedules now. I'm assuming they've already finalized or are finalizing them because they have to be somewhat ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like, how far ahead do they have to be, do we think?
They can. But when the finals are over with, they can have it done.
So
I mean, they've been working on it. I mean, look, again,
and the draft is in a week, so we're going to have
Sunday
drafts.
night. Sunday night's going to be the key as to who is on there.
Yeah.
Right. And if they're not going to put on Oklahoma City or Indiana or whatever or Cleveland, what good are you as a league? Why bother having 30 franchises?
I don't know.
Why bother? Right? If you're going to just get it down to 5 and the other 25 are just filler, okay, right? I mean, you got and then you try to promote stars, and one of them has a major gun problem. And then when he comes back from his major gun problem, you're still promoting him as a star. I mean, no. I mean, I'm sorry, you can't do that.
Let's go through. I want to go through every NBA team on a yes or no from you on if they should play on Christmas. Right now, we're going to take the teams as they're constructed.
Sure.
We're going to assume Cooper Flagg's a Maverick. We're going to take that into consideration there. So let's start with Boston Celtics. I say no for next year. They have no Tatum. They're not going to be a great team. The Celtics, put them in the maybe category because of the Celtics.
Yeah, it's only because of the brand name.
Yeah.
Because Tatum will not be playing on Christmas. Jaylen Brown just underwent knee surgery.
So maybe.
So, I mean, they're a long shot.
Long shot.
Long
Celtics.
shot, except for the brand.
Yes. Nets, no.
No, Nets definitely
Nowhere
not.
near it.
No.
Knicks, yes.
Yeah, the Knicks will be on.
The Knicks should be on.
They made the Eastern Conference semifinals. They'll have a new coach. There'll be a storyline.
And they have the brand.
It'll still be the same old lazy Carl Anthony Towns and the same old I don't play defense Jalen Brunson.
So it'll be a high-scoring game, fun on Christmas. Sixers, no.
No. Sixers do not deserve to be on.
Raptors,
No.
The Bulls,
Nope.
no. Cavs,
Yes. They absolutely should be on.
So we got the Knicks and the Cavs right now. Then the Pistons, no. Fun story.
The Pistons are a maybe.
Yeah.
I would put them into let's put them over here in this basket here as hey, if we're not up to 10 teams, let's think about them.
Okay. We'll do that. We'll put them in the maybe category. The Pacers.
Absolutely. They're in the finals. And they're going to have most of the team back. I mean, depending on what Turner does.
I'm going to say no to this immediately. The Bucks, no. There's a real chance Giannis is not there. I don't take a swing at that. They didn't put him on this past year. I don't put him on this year.
No.
The Hawks,
Nope.
no.
No. There's no need to watch selfish Trae Young play.
He might not even be there. Hornets, no.
No, the Hornets, no.
Heat, no.
No.
Magic,
Even though they might get Kevin Durant, but no.
Magic, I think could be in the maybe
Let's
category.
put them in a maybe category because they just, Paulo Banchero is obviously a really good player. I thought in the opening round against the Celtics, they gave, they lost in 5, but they gave them a fight.
And they got Bane. They improved, maybe. Wizards, I want them as far away from Christmas as I can get them. The West, Nuggets.
The Nuggets are always going to be a possibility because of Jokic and Murray.
Nuggets, yes. Timberwolves. Okay.
There's nothing about the Clippers that's intriguing, right? They'll be on the Christmas Day package, but
No.
I'd be in the room going, no.
Yeah. Thunder.
Oh, absolutely. They should be in the marquee spot.
We've got the Blazers and the Jazz.
Nope and nope.
Warriors.
Yeah, if Steph Curry, you got to put him on.
So Warriors will go in the yes for now. Lakers.
Yeah.
They'll be there again, kind of the default pick. Then coming up next, if my laptop would like to go with it, the Suns.
No.
Kings.
Nope.
Mavericks.
Maybe category because of the Cooper Flag acquisition.
So Mavs into the maybe. Then next up, we have the Rockets.
Excellent team.
Maybe.
Worthy of consideration, yes.
Put them in the maybe category.
Yeah.
Okay. Rockets into the maybes. Grizzlies.
No.
Pelicans.
Nope.
And the Spurs.
Well, because you got Wembanyama. Plus, you're going to have not Castle. Plus, you're going to have probably Dylan Harper.
And they could always, there's the strong rumor they're going to try and trade for Giannis, and that could add to it. So
Right. Sure.
we're sitting here right now with 9 teams in our Christmas. We need to add one more team. So we have the Knicks, the Cavs, the Pacers, Nuggets, Wolves, Thunder, Warriors, Lakers, Spurs. Hypothetically, a team from the East should be added. We have 3 East, 6 West, so we'll add an East team in. Out of the Celtics, Pistons, and Magic, who do you want to add in, Steve Jones?
Celtics, Pistons, and Magic.
Those are your 3 East teams. Because they're not going to go all West because of the game times.
I would go with Orlando.
Orlando, Magic in, and then the 4 teams we have outside looking in with the Celtics, Pistons, Mavs, and Rockets.
Yeah.
That feels like a pretty strong slate of
Sure.
Christmas games. Those teams, in whatever fashion you want to put them around. You want the Knicks to go against the Thunder or the Warriors or whatever.
Right.
You got enough there. Okay. And look at that. We did that right now, off the bat. We could tell you who's in, who's out, who's a maybe.
Well, but
and we
see,
figured it out real easy.
Look, but this is the Big Ten issue, okay? In football. Why don't we know the entire schedule now except for a flex game in November? I don't understand that. Why is it the NFL can put out and do a schedule release, make a big deal out of it? They can sit there and they could do the draft live on BTN, and I'm telling you right now, they're going to get viewers,
Yeah.
right? And everybody knows who's what, where, why. That's one thing I've always respected about Notre Dame's deal with NBC. Everybody knows that goes to Notre Dame Stadium today what the game time is for any game they want to pick. They know today what it is. Penn State is, it's a big deal. We know the kickoffs of the first 4 games. Ooh. Okay, great. Last I checked, that's 1/3 of the schedule, right? We should know the entire schedule with the rule being you're allowed to flex a game in November. Because you don't know, for example,
Indiana.
what an Indiana situation comes up where, wow, they're undefeated and people should get to see them.
And oh my gosh, Ohio State's coming to town in November. That seems like a great thing to change to.
Right. And then you can determine on the flex who gets it. But you're allowed to flex a game, right, in November. Other than that, we should know the kickoffs of every game today. And it's wrong that they do that. It's just wrong that they do that. And I have been somebody that has railed against especially the 6-day window for decades. You can't tell me 12 days ahead what game you think is a good game. Every single person in your industry that can't do that should be fired. Okay? You're not good at your job. You're terrible at your job. You have no idea. Yeah, we have to wait until Sunday. You have to wait till Sunday. I can look at the schedule now and tell you what the good games are. We could get a group. We could get a focus group of 20 fans right here. Boom. They could do it faster than you can, but you're the expert. Right? Really? No, you're no expert. You have no idea what you're doing.
No.
If you had to do a 6-day window, you have no idea what you're doing. Okay.
We currently know Nevada 3:30, FIU noon, Villanova 3:30, Oregon 7:30, and then Game 5, Northwestern will be either noon, 3:30, or 4, which I think is I'd rather not know than know 3 possible times. I think that's more ridiculous. Is like it could be any of these 3.
It's ridiculous.
What's it gonna help me?
I mean, that's
it's like not knowing.
But that's the absurdity of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We should know the kickoff times of every Big Ten game, especially over the first 2 months of the season. Yeah. Do November with a flex, right? You should be able to flex, a weekend, right? Where, okay, this is what we're going to do. I mean, you're not going to, the last game of the season, you're not going to flex. It's going to be Ohio State, Michigan at noon, right? You just have to pick out where you want to put Penn State and Oregon, for goodness sakes.
And then we should know like 3 weeks out what the game time is. Not 12 days or 10 days, whatever it is. We should know 3 weeks out. Give everyone.
We should know today.
Yes.
It's not that complicated. Okay? The NFL has already done their schedule except for the. Okay?
I'm saying the flex games. The flex games,
the flex
3 weeks,
games.
3 weeks out.
3 weeks
you should
out,
be able to flex it.
3 weeks
That's
out
when you got to
flex.
tell us, because it shouldn't be a 10-day beforehand flex. If I'm someone, I'm traveling, I say, okay, if this game is a 7:30 schedule, it gets flexed to noon.
I wouldn't mind if it was a 12-day.
Okay.
Okay? That wouldn't bother me as a 12-day because that's still a weekend out.
Just give us
right?
more time.
Which is the. Okay? And that's where I was disgusted with the Big Ten in this new contract, because I said ahead of time that it's your product. You need to have control over your product in some way, shape, or form. No 6-day windows. But they should have done a full schedule release. Okay, here we go. This game's on NBC. This game's on CBS. This game's on Fox. These games are on BTN. These games are on FS1. Okay, you can do that. It's amazing. The NFL has 32 teams. You have 18.
And they do it perfectly. And they're like, okay, we're going to flex this game from this time to that time. And it's like they all know way in advance what's happening. The full schedule we have game times, everything. Because let's say I'm a fan and I'm coming to Happy Valley November 22nd against Nebraska. I don't know what time that game is. Let's say I'm like, you know what? I think it's going to be a noon game. So I book my hotel for the night before, the Friday the 21st.
Sure.
Cool. Get here for the 21st. And I find out 12 days earlier that it's actually going to be a night game.
Yeah.
And hypothetically, getting back home to, I don't know, let's say Maine or Massachusetts, getting back to Boston.
Right.
Trying to get back to Boston after a 7:30 Penn State game means it's going to get out, let's say it gets out at 10 o'clock, 10:30. I'm not getting to an airport anytime soon, and I'm screwed. Then I got to book a hotel. Where's a hotel nearby that's going to have availability Saturday night after Penn State game? Nobody.
Right. That's right.
Like, it is causing more headaches for not just the teams, but for the fans, for everybody. You're causing more of a problem.
But again,
Like,
my point about TV has been the pandemic. Why don't we learn more lessons from the pandemic? Why don't we learn more about the lessons? Okay, don't just put it in the rearview mirror. What are your lessons? If you're TV, the lesson is simple. When you thought you had a captive audience, the ratings went down. What? Because the stands were empty.
yep.
Okay? Fans that show up at games, I've said this a million times, they're gold. Okay? Gold, platinum, whatever you want to, okay? Because they create the atmosphere. They're the ones that create that make it with the excitement. They're the ones that come through the TV set when it's going crazy. I mean, when J.J. Spahn sunk that putt
Oh, my gosh.
from 63 feet in the U.S. Open, you watch them, all the people go insane. Even when they during the rain delay, they showed the 2008 U.S. Open third round. The Tigers dropping putts, and people are going nuts. It's coming through the TV set. Why do you think they tell announcers all the time, as somebody who sat in that chair a lot in my career, in the big moments, lay out, say nothing? Why is that? Well, gee, you can't lay out and say nothing if there's nobody in the stands.
Yeah.
But you can lay out and say nothing when the place is okay? You've got to be more considerate of the people showing up to see the game in person And that's where the conference has to take control of that part, saying, hey, good. You know what? You guys are going to do this? Great. We're going to do kickoffs ahead of time, though. Okay? We'll do a flex. Okay? But we're not going to do this draft thing, on a week-by-week basis. That's ridiculous. Fans should know that if they're going to go to the Ohio State Northwestern game, or Michigan is playing Northwestern at Wrigley Field this year. The Michigan Northwestern game at Wrigley Field, what time the game's going to kick off? Well, and what network is carrying? It's not that complicated.
Nope. It's not. And you mentioned letting off and letting the crowd do the work. Yesterday, Mike Monaco was on the call alongside Ben McDonald down in Omaha.
Mike Monaco is very good, by the way.
World Series. Gage Wood for Arkansas threw a no-hitter with 19 strikeouts. He walked one guy.
Right.
He threw a near-perfect game, no-hitter, 19 strikeouts, the third ever in history of the Men's College World Series. He called it swing and a miss, greatness from Gage, no-hitter, and then for a minute said nothing.
Right.
He let the crowd do the talking because they were going ballistic.
Crowd, the director, the camera shots, things like that.
It was incredible. And that's because the crowd is involved. And it's amazing. And I don't get it, Steve. I don't get it when it comes to the networks, the sports, the teams, the everybody just missing the big picture of what we've said and discussed.
But to them, you have to remember, the game, to us, it's a game.
Mm-hmm.
To us, it's a competition.
Mm-hmm.
To them, it's a show.
Yeah.
Right? And Penn State basketball, for example, at least they have everything ahead of time. In September 18, 19, right around there. That's when they'll get the schedule. Right? But you'll notice Penn State will play all 7 days in the course of a week when the season's over with. They'll play a couple of games on a Monday, some games on Sunday, all the way through. Mm-hmm. And the reason is that you're a TV show. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget Penn State wrestling fans. We need to be on TV more. We need to be on TV more. And so BTN, they were wrestling Ohio State in the Jordan Center. It was a Friday night, and the dual meet started at 6. Now, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good. Right. And the fans were complaining left and right. And I said, whoa. I said, well, what are you complaining about? I said, you told me you wanted to be on TV, but not 6 o'clock on Friday. And I took out the Penn State basketball schedule. I said, see all this? Okay, that's my life. Mm-hmm. I said, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Sunday, Saturday, Thursday, Friday. Mm-hmm. I said, some games start at 9, some games start at noon, some games start at 7. I said, we're a TV show. I said, you want to be on TV, you got to make sacrifices. This is ridiculous. I said, I agree it's ridiculous. I said, but now you know what it's like being married to TV.
Yeah.
I said, you guys wrestle on Fridays and Sundays all the time. That doesn't change. Okay? How about you guys wrestling on a Tuesday at 7 with a snowstorm?
Mm-hmm.
How about wrestling on a Wednesday, at 8:30 with a snowstorm? Because TV tells you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like hockey. They tried doing a couple things in the middle of the week with hockey. A couple Tuesday and Wednesday games. Pagula sells out. Guess what doesn't? Has a lot of empty seats. Tuesday and Wednesday hockey games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're traditionally a Friday, Saturday, which is the right way to go. Mm-hmm. Wrestling, Friday, Sunday, right way to go. Mm-hmm. But TV doesn't think the way we think.
Nope. If everyone was Friday, Saturday, they wouldn't be able to actually make a schedule.
It's a show.
Mm-hmm.
It's a show to them. They don't think, TV doesn't think the same way we think.
Nope.
Right?
No, it does not.
It's okay. The NBA Finals, The Stanley Cup Finals, they got an extra day of travel between Edmonton and Florida. That extra day travel would have been in there if the Blackhawks were playing Detroit. Okay, it wouldn't matter. Right? The Blackhawks are playing Detroit. Okay, great. Hey, they got 2 extra days off. They didn't put the 2 extra days off because it's Edmonton to Broward County. They did it because TV said we need 2 days off. We want to be up against the NBA Finals. Okay. We're going to drop the puck at 8. Okay. NBA Finals are going to start at 8:30. Okay. We're going to end at 11:30 at night. Okay. That's because TV says. Now, are they paying a lot of money for this? Of course, yeah, we know they are. We know they are. But your product, this is the mistake that's made. Your product is valuable. Okay? Now, don't listen to a Stanford professor. He ain't going to help you. He already fouled up the Pac-12 network the Pac-12 deal all by himself. Right? We're worth a lot more than that. Over here in the back, I'm just a simpleton, but no, you aren't. 10 years ago you were, not now. That guy botched them up. They had a deal with ESPN. He botched them up.
Moving along. The Stanley Cup, you mentioned that. Game 6 is tonight.
Yep.
Can Florida do it? Will they clinch it? Will they win and repeat as champions tonight? They are playing... I believe they're in Edmonton, if I'm not mistaken. Are they in Edmonton or are they in Florida tonight?
They're in Florida tonight.
They're in Florida tonight?
Yep.
So will Florida win home ice tonight against the Oilers? Will the Oilers pull it back, send it to Game 7, back home?
Well, one thing I don't know is who's starting in goal for Edmonton. I'm going to assume they're going to go back to Stuart Skinner. Picker was okay. No better than okay the other night. No better than okay. Florida played just a beautiful hockey game the other night. They won all the 50-50 pucks. They defensively they took the body all over the place, gave Edmonton very little room to operate, blocked shots. Bobrovsky's really good anyway. And even when Edmonton scored to make it 3-1 and okay, the building's going nuts. Florida scored 60 seconds later, and that was it for the momentum. It killed it. If they play with that kind of intensity tonight, okay, they'll win the Stanley Cup. For Edmonton, normally with Edmonton, over the recent years, they'd have to win tonight's game 7-4. All right, but that's not how Edmonton is built anymore. Edmonton needs to win probably a 2-1 game tonight. And the first goal is always important anyway. It's exponentially more important tonight because whomever scores first, it's going to ratchet up the tightness on the other bench right away. All right, here we go. We're behind. It's going to be an uphill fight against these guys. We're going to have to get the next goal. Or if you're Edmonton and Florida scores first, here we go. Yeah. Here's the series. They're at home. We got to score.
Yeah.
In other words, you're going to get tighter, and you might take more chances.
But that could also
lead. Sometimes taking more chances leads to, the other night, that's what killed them. They took a couple of chances, Edmonton did, and Florida burned them. And Picker wasn't good enough to stop it.
And you mentioned they have to win 2-1 tonight. No game has had less than 7 goals so far. Game 1 had 7. It was a 4-3 overtime. We, of course, had the 5-4 double overtime, 6-1, 5-4, 5-2. The current projection is a 6.5 goal line. So it's basically 6 or 7 goals is going to happen.
Right.
And the current money is on Florida to win and to clinch tonight.
They're home.
Yeah.
Right. But that has meant nothing.
Yeah. No.
Right. If playing at home meant something, Edmonton should have won Game 5, the pivotal 5th game on their home ice.
Yeah.
But didn't. But there's a reason why you fight for home court, home ice, home field. But there's a reason why, and people don't take this into account. Well, they're playing at home. They'll win. No, not necessarily. Why? Because guess what? You're not playing the Boston Bruins, who didn't make the playoffs. Okay? You're playing the Edmonton Oilers, or in the Oilers' case, the Florida Panthers. It's good on good now. It doesn't, at that point, it gets canceled out a bit.
It's the same thing with the Pacers Thunder. At this point, you're playing the best team that's left.
It's good on good. Right? I mean, that's what you have at this. That's why the Haliburton injury is so important in all this, because it lessens the good on good. If he's not 75% and or maybe not even playing. And that's one of the issues. People forget to take into account that it's not just good on good, it's great on great.
Yeah.
Well, they're there for a reason. They're really darn good.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's a sheet of ice. It's a court. Okay? It's a football field. I mean, I realize that in the college football playoff, what did we see? We saw teams winning left and right at home. Right? I got that part. That happened this time. We'll see how that plays out in future years. But
doesn't mean you're guaranteed anything.
Doesn't mean you're guaranteed anything. I mean, Detroit's playing at home against the Washington Commanders. Detroit has a great year. They turned the ball over 5 times. Well, Washington's really good.
The amount of times that we've seen teams go into someone else's house and just beat the brakes off of them in every sport, we've seen it happen, where someone comes in and just brings you behind a woodshed, and the fans are stunned. You're stunned watching it. We've seen it happen time and time again. So home ice, home court, cool. It's great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, let's say it's I think it's Thursday is Game 6 NBA Finals, I believe.
Yeah.
If the Pacers go home and they, let's say, get down a little bit, do you think that crowd is going to feel real good about themselves in Indiana and Gamebridge? No. They're going to be on edge. And everything that goes right is going to be great. Everything goes wrong, they're going to feel it a million times more, and it's going to get rough, and it's going to be silent. And do you think the Thunder want to silence that crowd? Heck yes, you do.
Of course you do. No, it's one like Kurt Schilling said. He said there's nothing like going into Yankee Stadium and hearing 60,000 people say nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there are certain stadiums you hear a pin drop. It's athletes say, I want to say it was Anthony Edwards who said his favorite game was going into, I believe it was Dallas, and winning in Dallas. And he said, the feeling I had of being able to talk and hear my voice around the entire arena, special.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, I mean, there have been some years where Penn State's gone on the road basketball-wise, and it's been a struggle. Well, there's a reason that it was a struggle. They weren't as good as the other team.
Yeah. And you get games,
after a while, I mean, that's people don't realize there's a simplicity to sports that people forget because they want to overcomplicate it. Well, the analytics say da-da-da-da, or they go through all this stuff as to, well, football's the worst because you have a whole week. You have a whole week to sit there and talk about and this and this and this and this. Guess what? Most of the time, the team with the better talent wins.
Yep. Speaking of talent, Shohei Ohtani returned last night, pitched 1 inning for the Dodgers in his return. He pitched against the Padres. So Shohei is
well, he hit 100 last night.
He hit 100. He threw 28 pitches, 16 strikes, 1 inning, 2 hits, 1 earned run. Was it a great start? No, but it was more so just to get him to get the rust off. It was 1 inning. We knew it was going to be 1 inning. He got a double to center. Wow. He had a couple ribbies in there as well.
Well, Dave Roberts was pretty good after the game because Dave Roberts said, look, he says, they asked him about the 100, and he says, I was kind of hoping we'd see like 95, 96, 97, just kind of ease our way into it.
Yeah, just build his way up.
But
just 100 immediately off the rip.
Yeah, but he threw 1 pitch at 100.
Yeah, threw like 100.1 or something. He barely cracked 100, but he did.
Right.
So the headline, of course, is Shohei throws 100 in return.
Right. That just shows his arm strength. Now, I've got to wonder with him,
Mm-hmm.
do you at some point make him a closer?
So that's what I was thinking.
Now, I realize that when you're in the lineup as a hitter, you do want to put him in as the starting pitcher,
yes.
all right, because of everything that goes with the DH and everything like that that goes with it. Okay, I got that part. Also, the warm-up part. Warm up, as opposed to like, okay, you may hit this inning, you're out in the bullpen throwing to get ready as a closer. But I think it would be less stress on his arm.
So that's what I'm wondering when it comes to the playoffs, because, of course, it is June 17th. We have a long way to go until the playoffs get here and arrive. Could the Dodgers slow roll him enough to the point where he isn't a starter for them in the playoffs, but he does what we've seen a lot of pitchers do, where we saw Madison Bumgarner, of course, different case, but came in, would close out the game. Chris Sale, where you bring them in in the last couple innings to just close out the games. We know the Dodgers are good enough on offense to get the job done. Could they do that? Where they, instead of pulling him all the way back for this season, save his arm for next year and just use him in a closing role for the playoffs this season? Of course, thinking ahead is crazy, but the Dodgers, unless they all fall apart like their pitchers have.
I mean, they could get a group of prospects and they could send them to Boston for Aroldis Chapman. I mean, because they've now become a small market team. What are we doing here?
Hey, Roman Anthony hit his first home run yesterday.
Yeah, they did actually win last night.
Yeah.
I saw the headline: Red Sox win first game after Devers trade. Well, that's the only game they played since the Devers trade. Okay, it's going to depend. It's one thing the additional playoff has done is it used to be pretty cut and dry between buyers and sellers. Now it's a gray area for, I'd say there are sellers that are automatically, I'd say 8 teams would be sellers automatically. The other 22 teams, they've got somebody in there saying, if we win here, we win there, we get the one-game playoff. The Giants won the World Series after they won the one-game playoff over the Pirates. They won the whole thing.
And that's,
in fact, that was the World Series. They played Kansas City. Both teams won the one-game playoff to get there. Kansas City beat Oakland.
That was the Danny Duffy team, I believe, for the Royals, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. So, Eric Hosmer and all those guys. It was, but they both won the one-game playoff and got there. So it's not as if it hasn't been done. So now you're thinking, well, all we got to do is get in the tournament. So it now makes for interesting decisions as to, okay, are we still in it or are we out of it?
When it comes to, speaking of the MLB, the All-Star game, I want to discuss kind of who the leading vote getters are as of right now. I know. But you look right now, let's go the AL.
I'm the last person to ask on this one.
I know, but it's at least something to know who's leading where. In the AL, catching, you have Cal Raleigh as of right now.
From Seattle.
He's been having a great year.
Yeah, it's a good player.
First base, Paul Goldschmidt is leading all first basemen.
He's actually having, people may not realize that he's actually having a really good year for the Yankees.
Who knew? Paul Goldschmidt, great player.
He struggled last year with St. Louis.
Yeah. Second base, former Yankee, Gleyber Torres. Shortstop, you have Jacob Wilson from the Athletics. Bobby Witt Jr. is behind him in voting right now, which is interesting. Third base, Jose Ramirez leads the charge. The DH in the AL, because someone's no longer there that got votes. It is Ryan O'Hearn from the Orioles, because, of course, the leading vote getter is now in the NL.
Right.
And Rafael Devers.
Yeah.
When it comes to outfielders, you have Aaron Judge, Riley Green, and Mike Trout leading the way. Stephen Kwan, Javier Baez, and Cody Bellinger are right behind them. But that is the lead in the AL. When it comes to the NL, if I could scroll fast enough, we have in the NL catching Will Smith from the Dodgers. Even though the Rockies are trying to push Hunter Goodman up, they put a whole thing out saying we want Hunter Goodman to be in the All-Star game. He is a grand total
It's the best shot Hunter Goodman has at winning a game.
They have, he is, I believe, I'm just confirming real quick, the only Rocky anywhere on the voting ballot.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah. He is 200,000 behind Carson Kelly as the backup catcher. First big
former State College
Spike. The starting catcher, though, currently is Will Smith in the NL. First base, Freddie Freeman. Pete Alonso's behind him. Second base, Ketel Marte with the D-backs is leading the way. Tommy Edman behind him. Third base,
another former Spike.
Manny Machado. Behind him is Max Muncy. You have the shortstop is Lindor with Mookie Betts behind him.
Not a former Spike, but he played against the Spikes.
And then the DH, Shohei Ohtani leads the way, and behind him is newly acquired Rafael Devers. He would have over-doubled up the ALDH vote, for those wondering at home. Outfield, you have a pair of Cubs leading the way with Pete Crow Armstrong, Kyle Tucker, and then Teoscar Hernandez is third. Behind them are Juan Soto, Corbin Carroll, and Ronald Acuna Jr. So it's an interesting set of all-star voting. Yeah, a lot of Dodgers.
Well, A, they're really good, and B, they're also averaging over 40,000 a game.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the all-star voting thing. Look, I think that's fine.
Okay.
I've never been like. It's nice to have the fans participate, but like I'm going to fill out 400 ballots for Roman Anthony. I'm like, oh, geez, why do we bother with?
I do want to bring attention to the biggest sporting news, though, of the day. I'm assuming you may have seen this at some point in the past 24 hours. The biggest sporting news of all, no longer banned. Joey Chestnut will return to the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest on the 4th of July.
It's just marvelous.
As someone who loves the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest,
okay,
Joey Chestnut returning, it's like Michael returning in 94. Like, he comes back and you're like, or 96. He comes back in 96 and you're like,
maybe they'll give him bib number 45.
Yeah. I think they do that. I think they give him bid number 40, number 95 or something. Let him go for
45.
45?
That's the number Michael Jordan came back with.
Well, Joey Chestnut's returning, and he's back, baby. Chestnut's back. I'm gonna say the GOAT is.
I'm not gonna get into which play-by-play announcer it was. But it was the guy that did play-by-play of this a few years ago, and I'm talking with him. And the question I was asking him about was about Melanie Collins, and Melanie's from State College. Okay, and I worked with Melanie at one point at Channel 3. And she's now doing sideline for the NFL. And they had her doing the Nathan's Hot Dog thing. So I'm interviewing this guy, and he did auto racing mostly.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about racing today. I said, let me ask you about the Nathan's thing for a second. And the question was about Mel. Okay. And I said, let me ask you about the Nathan's thing for him. He goes, oh, God, that stupid thing. And I said, no, that's not what the question's about. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. I said, you had a chance to work with Mel. She's from State College. And he goes, oh, he said, I apologize. He said, I should have let you finish. He said, of course. And he said all these glowing things about her. But the key to me was when he said, no, that's a stupid thing. All right. I have the privilege on the 4th of July of getting in a car and driving to Williamsport to do a game at 1 o'clock that day, which means I do not have to waste my time when it comes to the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest.
I'm hurt.
I don't need to have. I mean, it's tough enough to see Jerry Valeri and Joe Putnam do the one dog,
the 999,
the 9-9 thing. I mean, because they get off to good starts.
Oof.
Right? Now, I realize that they're eating full hot dogs with the buns.
But it catches up to you real quick.
By about the 6th inning, the two of them are struggling a bit. Okay?
A bit. I think Jerry laid down on one of the dugouts at some point, just laid down on it.
But I'm not kidding about this.
No, yeah.
Right? And these guys are shoving in 70 of them. Boom, 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 dipping them in water. And like,
the red Gatorade.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's televised is ridiculous.
So you're saying...
I realize that it's all sports TV, so you need, to put something on. And they promoted it well. They made a big deal out of it over the years. It has zero appeal to me whatsoever. The only thing I'm interested about when it comes to hot dogs, whether I can get one at Williamsport in the fourth inning when I've got a couple innings off.
I appreciate it. So you're saying you weren't there in 2007 watching when Chestnut took down Kobayashi.
I couldn't tell you in a million years who these people are.
I care, Steve.
Right? And they're like eating's a sport. They're stars.
Joey Chestnut.
Hey, no.
16-time champion. Joey Chestnut.
That's great. I'm so happy.
May I say this? I thoroughly enjoy Nathan's dog. I enjoy going to Coney Island.
Nathan's hot dogs are good.
Going down to Nathan's itself, down on Stillwell. I've done
Brooklyn Cyclones games.
It's right there.
Okay, so I've been there. Had it. Yeah. It's great. It's fine.
I know.
Okay, but a contest? No.
So you're saying you and Jack Ham and Dick Girardi are not going to participate in the Nathan's hot dog eating contest anytime
We
soon?
barely know it exists.
Okay.
If it wasn't shoved in our face all the time, none of us would know about it.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, I'm heartbroken that you aren't a big Nathan's hot dog eating contest fan.
No, there's no. I guess they have a women's division too,
They
right?
do. Miki Sudo is the champion. She got 55 last year. 51 last year, I believe, was the record. Yeah. It's a thing. I love it. I'm here for it. I'll eat one hot dog or two, maybe 3 if I'm really feeling dangerous.
I think the most I ever had in one sitting, right, is 3.
I think I've had at most like 4. If it was like a day where I hadn't had anything outside, and the grill's going.
And that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm usually somebody that if I'm going to grill, I'll have a burger, I'll have a dog.
And you have some sides.
Right.
And you got
a couple of sides, but I'll have one and one. That's it.
That is respectful.
This is, I'm sorry. It's just not my...
Not your cup of tea?
No, everybody has their own cup of tea. This one is not mine.
Understood.
Thank you for listening to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, a 7 Mountain Media production. Come back at 11 every weekday for analysis of the latest happening in the sports landscape. From college football to European soccer, Steve and Kyle cover it all on Sports Talk.